Miami Live.
I'm about to bring you the high spot of the 1950 football season.
We got a big fight going on. The officials buried in the middle.
Oh, the man is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone.
Back to the corner. He's got it.
Fire to the end zone. Touchdown.
Hi, I'm Eli Gold, and you're watching the Pigskin Parrot.
Welcome to the Season 2 premiere of the Pigskin Parrot, where we are squawking football non-stop. The term fraud is rarely used in sports to describe what I'm about to talk about. Usually within the context of athletics, fraud is typically when a team doesn't perform up to their expectations, or the term may be thrown around when a league partners with a betting company and people think something's fishy going on. But in this particular context, the word fraud is, well, exactly that. Imagine a team pretends to be another team and tricks a major network into believing they are said other team and is successful at it until they get caught. Well, that's what I'm about to talk about today. I remember that day in 2021. It was the end of August. I was a sophomore at the University of Alabama. Week 1 of the college football season was that week, and the whole campus was in a jumpy football mood, especially since our school had just come off of a national championship win. I walked into the Ferguson Student Center ready to pack on 10 extra pounds with my mobile order of Chick-fil-A when I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. The TV in the food court was playing ESPN as it normally does. However, instead of the stereotypical Stephen A. rant fest, it was high school football. I watched as IMG Academy, which is the Hogwarts of high school, beat the absolute brakes off of a team named Bishop Sycamore. Everybody near the TV was kind of entranced by the whole thing, but we were just excited that something football related was on. I ate my spicy deluxe with honey, slurped down my Powerade, and just like that, the game was over. 58-0 was the final score. Ah, cool, that's over, I said to myself and the other food court patrons as we left the building to go do whatever. Fast forward to my next weight gain session, it's 7 p.m. and I'm inside one of the campus dining halls. As I wait in line to get my food, I get a notification from the ESPN app stating something along the lines of an investigation being opened against Bishop Sycamore. Less than a week had gone by and it had felt like almost every day something new about this school was coming to light. The players were actually grown adults instead of high school-aged kids. The school itself didn't even exist and its address was just a P.O. box. The team's head coach now had an active arrest warrant out for him and he was fleeing from law enforcement. Thousands of memes were being posted to social media about the incident, and the funniest question that everybody was asking was how in the world did they manage to get an ESPN contract? Like, ESPN is owned by Disney, which is easily one of the most powerful corporations in human history. Disney is famously strict and very protective of the integrity of its brands. How did this fake school manage to squeeze through all of the cracks? And that's what inspired me years later to make this video. So get your Hanes on, lace up your Nikes, get some Wheaties and some Gatorade, and we'll pick up a Big Mac on the way. This is the story of Bishop Sycamore. Before they were Bishop Sycamore, the school was originally founded under the name Christians of Faith Academy in 2018. Instead of actually being a school, it operated as a non-chartered, non-tax supported entity without physical classrooms, teachers, or a curriculum, and was supposedly based in Columbus, Ohio. The head football coach, Leroy Johnson, made claims that the school's affiliation was with the African Methodist
Episcopal
Church and had plans to eventually build a massive campus with ties to the church. While Johnson and the AME Church did exchange some emails in the past, there was never an official affiliation between the two, and the church understandably denied any connection with the school. Christians of Faith managed to recruit plenty of football players for its school's team by targeting young men with false promises, exploiting disadvantaged youth, and utilizing high-tiered matchups to create this illusion of legitimacy. Christians of Faith Academy played a 12-game schedule in 2018 where they lost 8 of their games and forfeited 2. One of these forfeits being to IMG Academy, which was one of the big matchups they used to entice players to join the team. By this point, the local Columbus media started to become wise to what this program was doing. Info started coming out about how the COF was not a member of the OHSAA, did not have a building, did not have a website, and didn't even have an official home field. The suspicious antics of the COF launched a federal investigation regarding use of counterfeit currency, credit card and debit card fraud, computer fraud, and multiple other crimes. With this, the school was forced to shut down after a single season and rebranded to Bishop Sycamore as a way of hiding from the media. Bishop Sycamore made attempts to affiliate itself with actual Christian programs, just like Christians of Faith had tried previously, but any attempts ultimately resulted in cease and desist letters being sent in the mail. 2019 finally rolled around and Bishop Sycamore started its first football season, where they went 4-5, this time playing a bunch of smaller schools instead of highly touted ones. Now, none of the schools they played were located in Ohio. The team was invited to play in a private football tournament called the Freedom Bowl in Milton, Georgia, where they were then banned for not submitting a roster and hotel room info in time. Heh, more on that later. By 2020, Bishop Sycamore actually tried to start its own online classes through a company called Graduation Alliance. These classes were discontinued after only 5 months due to a lack of payments from Bishop Sycamore's side of the deal. In an attempt to create more false legitimacy, Bishop Sycamore exploited the game cancellations from various teams due to the COVID-19 pandemic. If a powerhouse high school team needed an opponent for a now vacated spot, Bishop Sycamore would be the team yelling, "Ooh, pick me, pick number 3, my lord." The program did this with a bunch of powerhouse teams and ultimately ended up getting destroyed by all of them. In fact, with all the games combined, they were outscored 227-42. They tried this exact same strategy in 2021, where they were actually listed as the team with the 4th hardest schedule in the entire country. An attempt was made to create a GoFundMe for $20,000, but was ultimately deleted after only making $140. The first game of the season saw Bishop Sycamore get absolutely pimp slapped by Archbishop Hoban High School. Week 2 saw a closer game with Stowe Rocks High School, and the Centurions lost 19-7. Now here's the part everybody came here for. Just 2 days later, yes, you heard that, 2 days later, they had to play IMG Academy on the road on ESPN. Bishop Sycamore was set to play IMG Academy on ESPN. ESPN had been running a series called ESPN High School Kickoff, which would showcase various high school programs, typically the powerhouse ones, on a national platform. The schools chosen typically featured 5-star recruits and nationally ranked prospects that have yet to commit to a college football program. These games were booked by a company called Paragon Marketing, which had been ESPN's high school football partner for many years. After unsuccessful attempts to find an opponent to play against IMG Academy, Paragon Marketing outsourced their effort to a man named Joe Maimon, who runs a company called Prep Gridiron Logistics. Of the 200 schools that Maimon contacted, Bishop Sycamore was the only one willing to play IMG Academy on such a big stage, as others didn't wish to be embarrassed on such a major platform. Since desperate times called for desperate measures, nobody even bothered doing any background research on Bishop Sycamore's legitimacy. Members of the broadcast crew for ESPN were skeptical, however, since Coach Johnson failed to show up for his scheduled production meeting 2 days before the game, and the commentators didn't even get fact sheets about the players until an hour before kickoff. Despite the skepticism, the game continued on as planned. Before we continue on into what actually happened in the game, I want to do a quick overview of some of the players on IGM Academy's roster, because this is so funny in hindsight. All of these fake high school players were lining up against Jaleel Skinner, Jihad Campbell, AJ Duffy, Kamari Wilson, Tyler Booker, and Carnell Tate, so just keep that in mind. IMG Academy received the opening kickoff and immediately made it to the 38-yard line. Just a few plays later, Carnell Tate snagged in a one-handed grab for a touchdown, making it look incredibly easy. And by making it look incredibly easy, I mean this is something that we're gonna see for like the whole rest of the game. Bishop Sycamore's offense came in and after 3 downs thought it would be incredibly smart to go for it on 4th while being backed up on their own 29-yard line. After the turnover on downs, IMG Academy took a few plays before tossing one to Tate again, who broke like 4 tackles for another touchdown. Thanks to the top-notch strength and conditioning from Bishop Sycamore, we now have our first injury of the game in just 4 drives. What I like about this is how, 1, it doesn't even look like any doctors are running to his aid, it's just the coaches and 2 women wearing civilian clothes with no equipment or anything. 2, how the commentary team doesn't even know who it is because the rosters they were given don't have a number 54 on them, and I think the woman in sunglasses here is supposed to be some type of physician or physical therapist. I'm not entirely sure. They're all standing around the guy while he's in pain and they're just like, hey man, you alright? Bishop Sycamore's offense comes back on the field, this time being forced into a 4th and 18 situation. They try to punt the ball, but the snap is so bad that the punter had to kick the ball under pressure, causing it to not even cross the 50-yard line. After a few plays, they handed the ball off to Katron Allen for the team's first rushing touchdown of the game. Similar to Tate, he broke off the entire defense trying to do it. It had become clear by this point that Bishop Sycamore just could not play football, like, at all, let alone against a national powerhouse like IMG Academy. The commentary is one of the funniest parts of this game, because if you listen closely while the game's going on, you can tell they just have no idea what they were witnessing. But because the commentators are professionals, they're holding back what they really want to say about things, and that makes it even funnier. It was revealed that they were not even provided rosters, similar to the Freedom Bowl fiasco, only this time they provided a form of rosters to the press box. There is a part right here where they're talking about how the terrible performance from the team was not a fair assessment of the overall state of high school football in the state of Ohio. Like, congratulations, Bishop Sycamore, you have the whole state embarrassed on y'all's behalf. Towards the end of the first quarter, the game enters a weather delay due to a lightning strike happening near the stadium. I guess it hit something important because now the feed's out for a couple of minutes. What an amazing game so far. The game resumes and it's Bishop Sycamore's ball. After another quick 3 and out, the Centurions went to punt the ball again. This time, the punt is blocked before it ever even leaves the punter's hands, causing the ball to fly out the back of the end zone for a safety. So the first quarter ends and the score is 23-0. IMG is dominating on all fronts and Sycamore looks extremely lost. Every time they cut to Coach Johnson on the sidelines, he looks so guilty, like he knows he's already been caught red-handed. He kind of does like that look Mr. Robinson does when the landlord shows up. Second quarter comes around and IMG finds another touchdown. And another. The pace of this game has significantly slowed down since the first quarter. During the slow moments, ESPN is just trying to find stuff to talk about, with that stuff mostly being where these highly touted IMG recruits are going to college. What's funny is that the only thing they can talk about is this, because there is absolutely no notes whatsoever on Bishop Sycamore. By this point, the announcers were growing suspicious of the Centurions program, citing how weird it was that the school was advertised as online only. There was even a point where the commentary team just came out and said that they could not verify the claim that Bishop Sycamore's team had reputable D1 prospects. By the end of the third quarter, the game was now 44-0. The broadcast is genuinely worried about the medical state of Bishop Sycamore, seeing how they keep getting dropped left and right, and the team doesn't have much depth beyond the starters. Running out of things to talk about, ESPN just keeps repeating the same things over and over again, like reminding us that this game is in fact at Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, Ohio. IMG Academy's head coach is NFL Hall of Famer Pepper Johnson. Like they need anything else to talk about at this point. Bishop Sycamore's last offensive play of the game resulted in a sack for a loss of 8 yards and a turnover on downs. How fitting. IMG Academy wins the game 58-0, and even though this is typical for Bishop Sycamore, they made a grave mistake by airing this game on national television. You see, Roy Johnson here had this long history of run-ins with law enforcement, not for creating fraudulent football teams, but for doing other stuff that was extremely scummy. Here is a mix of things he has been accused of before and after the incident. Allegedly forging checks, instigating gang beatdowns of a homeless guy, endangering wildlife by purposely running over a gaggle of geese, encouraging players to take out PPP loans under a COVID-19 relief program to pay their tuition. He faced a domestic violence charge that he was able to plead down to menacing, was arrested at a Best Buy for theft and using a fake name, and apparently owed more than $300,000 in fines and settlements relating to the Christians of Faith and Bishop Sycamore scandals. The Ohio Department of Education has since come out and clarified that Bishop Sycamore is not a real school and eventually discredited Johnson. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, I was getting dinner that one night and then I got the news headline that there was a warrant out for Coach Johnson's arrest, and I remember everybody in the dining hall getting this notification and laughing so hard. I remember turning up and looking at ESPN and it was like one of their Sports Center talk shows. I can't remember if it was Stephen A or whoever it was, but they were up there just baffled that the network that their show is on somehow fell for something that elaborate, and it was just so funny watching that unravel the whole night. This whole Bishop Sycamore thing sparked an internet sensation with memes aplenty. The viral sensation of the controversy led to ESPN themselves making a 30 for 30 documentary called BS High. one that features many interviews from the players who claim to have been exploited by Coach Johnson and didn't quite understand the legal ramifications of what they were getting into. Johnson himself talks a lot in this documentary and basically brags about the fact that there are no Ohio State laws stopping him from just doing this again due to an undisclosed loophole. He also said that he was going to use the publicity of the incident to come back. In the time since the documentary, Johnson is not in jail. Nobody has seen Johnson operating any football teams, assuming that he isn't impersonating somebody in a different state. For the JUCO age players on the team, some of them do have happy endings as they were allowed to continue their college football careers with real schools and become standout players. And I honestly want to applaud the young men for coming up out of that and managing to find success. The story of Bishop Sycamore will forever go down in history as one of the biggest football blunders to ever make it to television, but I would be lying if I said I was not entertained the whole way through. When I think about the things I remember from my time in college, this is definitely in the top 10. Thank you for watching another exciting episode of The Pigskin Parrot. What a way to kick off season 2. I know I've been gone for a while, but I'm back here and I'm ready to make more content for you guys. The spring football season just wrapped up with the UFL, Canadian football is going on right now, and the NFL and college football are just a couple of weeks away. By a couple of weeks, I really mean like a month or so, but you know what I mean. I'm so glad to see you all back here, and I'm ready to enjoy football season once more. My name is Preston McElhaney. Thank you for watching.
Duffy to throw, completes, it's Sean Miller. And he's out of bounds, the drive continuing for IMG Academy. That offensive line moves, Booker headed to Alabama, and Bama's success with O-line